Hey, how's it going there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday afternoon, about 12:30 p.m. California time, August 11th, 2024. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows some continuing movement there in Southern California, with a couple smaller microquakes coming into the area around the Bakersfield area, where we recently seen that 5.2 and hundreds of aftershocks here. This is the last 24 hours of earthquake activity. Got about 40 earthquakes here, about the same as yesterday. Far as movement goes, that's going to bring a total tally up to about almost 550 earthquakes now since that 5.2. Let's take a look at the largest magnitudes here in this sequence of activity. Originally kicked off there with a 5.2. It's been about 4 days now here, maybe 5 days. Aftershock activity still continuing. So far, 4.6, 4.4, and a 4.1 are the largest aftershocks here. Of course, numerous 3s and 2s and 1s in there as well. So, toning down, but not completely. Still got two distinct areas here north of the Garlock Fault Shear Zone. That's going to be this fault system, very lengthy fault system, and it runs opposite of what you normally would see along the California area in terms of following in parallel with the plate boundary. This runs against it and actually locks up as a spring, so to speak, here across this X area that intersects the plate boundary itself, the San Andreas Fault. That's where this activity is occurring here today, north on this section and also just north here of the Ridgecrest area, where we're seeing a little bit of uptick here across the area of Little Lake out in the Coso Basin. Now this area has some older volcanic features out here, and let's see, it looks like this activity occurring up here in the mountains a little bit. Obviously some older volcanic features. You can see these little lava domes and whatnot, little lava features out here on the landscape from historical way back when volcanic activity. But this earthquake activity occurring about 2 to 3 miles here below the surface. Nothing big, just a bunch of ones, and they did have a 3.7 earlier this morning as well. Looks like about 2 o'clock this morning here local time. So a couple different areas here across Southern California today showing some uptick. We'll still keep an eye here on the there was another 3-pointer in that mix as well this morning, so things are stirring back up, it looks like, here, including one earthquake way up north along the San Andreas Fault. That looks like the Parkfield section, where they're coming up here on probably going to see a 6-pointer here soon within the next year or so. It's almost on a regular occurrence that this area sees a 6-pointer in this area every I think it's like every 18 years or so, and I think the last one was back I don't remember exactly. We'll have to check that out, but it comes and goes there on regular occurrences. But this area is the area to watch right now with this increasing movement here north of the Garlock Fault Shear Zone. Keep an eye here on this interchange. Further down south here, a couple smaller earthquakes on the North American side of the plate boundary in the San Bernardino Mountains there, just off the San Andreas Fault there. Well, a little 1.1, and some smaller quake activity out here. Always got to be prepared, right? Any type of increasing movement here in Southern California could just trigger this area along the plate boundary, the southern branch here of the San Andreas Fault, which is capable of producing in upwards of an 8.1 magnitude earthquake, and it's been quite a while. It's been building up steam there for a long time. Northern California, pretty quiet. Nothing going on here across the Cascadia subduction zone for now. Same for the Washington area up here, a little 1.5 last night just outside of Mount Rainier, but things are fairly quiet up there. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up here on the map, but I do want to double check that here really quick here. Let me add that back. I'm going to have to add that back to my bookmark since I utilize it quite a bit. Here's the latest seismograph stations of Yellowstone National Park. Here's the Yellowstone caldera in the black line, Yellowstone Lake there in the background in the blue. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity, as you can see here on the map. Some wind events, maybe some thunderstorm activity, it looks like, yesterday late afternoon time period, but there's no earthquake activity, nothing, zip zero, nada. Maybe back over here. Well, it's hard to say. I know this is one right here, a little small microquake, maybe a couple more, but it's yeah, very quiet is the key word out there for now. Far as the rest of the country goes, there's a couple earthquakes there from yesterday. Really not a whole lot going on here today. I guess this little quake here counts for today's activity. Near Pembroke, Virginia, seen a 2.2, about almost 4 miles here below the surface into the Appalachian Mountains here. I want to get out here and visit this area one of these days. It's one area of the country I've never toured, and I would just like to travel across this area. That'd be absolutely beautiful to see the Great Smoky Mountains. All right, Puerto Rico area, handful of earthquakes here across the Puerto Rico Trench with the latest a 3.9 over here across the western edge of that Puerto Rico Trench area. A look at the broader scale regional map here. Middle America Trench seeing a lot of older quake activity from yesterday. South America appears to be having the uptick here today across the Peru-Chile Trench, where we did see a 5-pointer coming in this morning, along with a handful of other quakes here up and down the Peru-Chile Trench. Quite active in this area today, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that region. New Zealand still seeing some activity down here. I think the volcano, well, this image here is from yesterday, the Wakari White Island area, showing a little bit of volcanic eruption activity yesterday. Let's see what we got here for today. Hard to tell. Looks like it's just starting to get morning time out there across the New Zealand area. Hard to tell with the cloud cover coming in, but they're having a little bit of periodic eruption activity out there in terms of volcanoes. It is at the Wakari and the White Island area, volcanic activity just off the North Island coast. They're currently seeing an eruption there with those minor ash and steam eruptions. Alert level sitting at a level 3 for now, so just kind of watching that one there off of the North Island area. In terms of earthquakes, see what we got here across New Zealand. 2.8. There's a 3.7 there from yesterday. South Island area, a couple threes as you can see up and down the board. Really nothing big going on there. Let's check out the earthquake drum, see what we got here across the area. There's going to be some of those threes further down south here. A couple smaller spikes of an earthquake there across the area. Nothing big, just a little bit of a movement taking place there. See what we got for the volcanic drums. Not a whole lot stirring up out here in terms of the activity. Let me see what we got here. Are we going to be able to see the drums from this? Monitoring. Well, yeah, there's another image here of the Wakari White Island area. Again, hard to tell though on if anything's going on right now. I know yesterday we did see a little bit of eruption activity there, as noted on various images from yesterday, some steam explosions and whatnot. So we'll continue to check back in on that as far as New Zealand goes. Down here across the Tonga Trench area, a couple smaller earthquakes from yesterday and today. Getting deep, about 345 miles here into the Tonga Trench. So overall, still seeing that deeper activity come back here to this area. Mariana Trench did see a 5.2 up here. Looks like the northern Mariana Islands earlier today. And that is being reported by the USGS as well. About 5 o'clock my time, local time here in California for that 5.2 earthquake. Up around the Japan area, a couple earthquakes from yesterday. Nothing showing up here on the USGS map far as today goes. Mostly older earthquake activity here in this region. Still watching it though, because there's always that potential of seeing some larger scale adjustment up here where it's been quite active recently. Philippines area southward, there's a 3.4 hiding in the mix there, it looks like. Quite a few smaller quakes out there. Not a whole lot going on there for now. And across the Alaska area, let's see what we got up here. Looks like a couple smaller quakes, including a 3.5 from just about an hour or so ago along the Aleutian Trench. This one's fairly deep, though, about 44 miles here into the subduction zone. All right, let's check out Hawaii. See what's going on out here on the Big Island. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity ramping up for now. I'm going to go over here to the monitoring data and see what we have going on. Seismograph stations continue to look quiet out here, folks. There's not a whole lot of activity. One earthquake here, it looks like, from late last night, as far as throughout the morning time over there in Hawaii. Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot showing up there for now. Look at the deformation chart, shows a steep dip right here in terms of inflation. That's a deflationary event going on there in the last few hours, it looks like. But overall, we're at an area, I think, where anything can take place here. We're just waiting on a further push of magma into the system. Who knows how long that's going to take, but once it does, then we'll see the progression here of what Kilauea Volcano wants to do. Whether it wants to displace magma further off to the lower East Rift Zone, or maybe have some fissure events take place up here across the upper and middle East Rift Zone. We'll have to see. It's just a waiting game for now. Let's see what else we got here. Atlantic Ocean, how are we doing out there in the Atlantic? Pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on there. Mediterranean area and throughout the Middle East. Still seeing a little bit of swarming out here, specifically in this region right here. Looks like that's going to be around roughly in this area, the GNC area, has shown some earthquake uptick. Nothing really shown up here on the USGS map, but that is a decent amount of swarming there with a bunch of threes coming in there today. A little bit further activity along the plate boundary here as we head off towards the Atlantic. But it's a major plate boundary, so it's going to see earthquake activity on any given day. Let's go check out Iceland here real quick, see what we have for the Iceland activity. And here we go, I skipped over it. All right, got about 104 earthquakes here in the last 12 hours, getting a little bit of uptick out here. I'm going to pull up the extremely small microquakes as well so we can get a general key indicator of where this activity is stirring up. And oh goodness, we got some right in Grindavik area. This is going to be a little community, little village down there. Yeah, a couple earthquakes stirring up underneath this area. Blue Lagoon and the power plant sits up here. Within this area, there's the Blue Lagoon and the Savart-Singi power plant right here. Most of the earthquake activity around the craters region where that last couple eruptions took place, but also more so down south. So we're going to have to watch this. Let me check out the Icelandic Met Office, see if there's anything new to chat about, which it doesn't look like. This was a couple days ago, and they're still counting on seeing an eruption here in the coming days, as we are looking at an increasing amount of earthquake activity along with elevated inflation as well, right? So you put 2 and 2 together, and guess what? That spells an eruption. And we've got to keep an eye on the earthquake activity where it's happening. And right now there's, as I mentioned, some around the Grindavik area as well. Let's check out the run times here from Grindavik, which is right here. There was a little droppage here a couple days ago. I don't know if that's an error or what, but that was a quick drop and then back right up into the high level inflation here across the area. There's our eruption back in the end of May from a previously elevated area in terms of inflation, but we're way up here, more so here across the Grindavik area than any time before. So this could be a telltale story of maybe seeing some fissure activity opening up in or around the Grindavik area in the coming days. With this type of activity and the earthquake activity we're monitoring, just got to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Hopefully it stays out of there, but it's going to do what it wants to do, right? Space weather activity, well, we've seen a little bit of uptick overnight, looks like. KP index around 4, 4.5, almost a G1 class storm. In terms of the auroras, probably while most of us were sleeping, and that was somewhat forecasted, but we're expecting a little bit stronger conditions. So this is actually obviously a little bit less. There is some potential of seeing the auroras once again tonight if they do stir up, and that's all dependent on the arrival of the CME and whether it's going to have a direct impact on the Earth or if it's just going to give us barely a little glancing hit. We'll have to watch that tonight. Either way, KP index up around the 5 level tonight. Here's tonight's forecast. So if things play out, you might want to get outside and observe the aurora should they be in your area and you have clear skies. Here's a view line right here across southern Washington through South Dakota area and across the Great Lakes. That's a view line. The level that you can see it on the northern horizon if you're looking off in the northern horizon there. And of course, if you got a clear sky. Not a whole lot of flaring going on right now, even though we still have an elevated threat for an X flare at 30%. Things have been a little calm. Let's see what we got here in terms of complexity. There's I don't know. I don't really see the X flare potential out here. I'm a little surprised that it got bumped up to a 30% chance. I mean, we have this region right here with close proximity, different colors, but that's way out there, just about ready to crest off the western limb here. This region, fairly massive, but there's not a whole lot of dynamic mixing within the polarities. You got this massive red area, but there's not a whole lot of deeper other colors in close proximity, which would indicate complexity here within the magnetic structure. So even though it's massive, it doesn't look all that complex there. It is facing the Earth, so we'll just have to see if this wants to produce anything of any noteworthy solar flares. Another region up here showing a little bit of complexity. Notice that close proximity there between the deep colors. And behind that, well, looks a little bit quieter as we head potentially in the days ahead, at least for the eastern limb. So we got a G2 storm potentially coming up tonight in terms of the auroras. I just showed you guys that forecast. We'll keep our eyes open here for some flaring. And right now things pretty fairly calm, fairly minimal in terms of the auroras out here. All right, let's see what else we got here. Anything major going on in the Pacific for hurricanes? Doesn't look like it. The Atlantic Ocean, yes. We got one system out here. It's already developed some type of tropical wave out here. This is going to be disturbance 1. There's an 80% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. So we're going to have to watch that one. Right now, the path is looking like this is going to pull up through the Puerto Rico area, get caught up in the high pressure that's sitting out here in the Atlantic. And the high pressure, of course, rotating clockwise here in the northern hemisphere is going to direct and pull that tropical system north, and it should bypass the eastern portion of the country. Let's take a look at these weather models here and see what they're pointing out, because that's all they need is some more rain out there across the eastern coast, right? Definitely not. There's the massive high pressure, dominant, goodness. That is going to pull that low pressure system, which is going to be a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane status here. Watch it as it moves on the weather models here. See, it gets caught up, high pressure way off here to the east, and it's just going to follow the strength here of these lines, these pressure bars, and stay away from the east coast, and that's good news. I don't see anything else following that hurricane, but we'll continue to watch that and report back on anything. But yeah, it's going to definitely be a nice strong hurricane out there, but ways away from the water, and that's what we want, or away from the land, out over the water. So just keep it out there, right? What else we got here, folks? I think that's about it today, at least for the morning. Still got the whole day here for the most part. Seismograph stations out here look fairly quiet. Not a whole lot popping on them. Little earthquake there around Cal State Bakersfield. That's going to be where the 5.2 and all the earthquake activity occurred here recently. And we're still getting, some activity here and a little bit over here across the Ridgecrest area north of this shear zone here. So quite a bit of strain out here against this area. We'll continue to watch that, maybe for some larger scale movement. There's always that possibility. Have a good day, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll catch you guys back out here for the Sunday evening update. Take care.